All right. Hello. How's it going there? Geez, tonight. How's it going? Any crack? Any crack with your tall? Oh, we got nobody in yet. Nobody in yet. I'm gonna put the alarm on the phone now, just so I can get to bed. Fuck, it's nearly 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, I'm about 2 hours late to the party. Missed my own fucking party, it seems. But here I am. Did you get the little notification job? Did you get the little belly? Similoni's Digested Live. Oh, Johnny Sideways. Oh, Cheap Heat. How are you doing, Morris Bay? Cheap Heat Productions. Give an old subscribe to Cheap Heat there because he's got some fucking very interesting guests on. I'm going to put this alarm on for 45 minutes. Then I've got to go to Bobo's, man. I've got to go to Bobo's, man. I'll tell you the crack now. Last week, I I was up late, as I often am on a Friday with the live streams, and I looked out the window. Oh, fucking Shawnee, man. Oh, yeah, hi, shit's kicking off in Maloney's House of Touchners. You got that one right, Shawnee, baby. Yeah, last Saturday I woke up to see all the neighbours outside doing the annual cleaning of the street. Just making the place look cozy, like, do you know what I mean? And I was like, shit, late for this. So myself and the daughter went out then, did a lovely bit of cleaning, and upstaged a few folks. We were like, we're no slouches, man. We did an awful lot of weeding, so I have to be up early again tomorrow for the second touch. Throw an awful lot of stuff into the skip before it's full. There's some shite that needs to be thrown out. How's everyone doing? Good to see you all. How did you hear me? It's all right, is it? I got a fucking red spot on the end of my nose, man. That's what you get for shaving your fucking nostril hair with a big razor. Matthew Shipley, how you doing? Paj Mahash. Well, shite in the bucket. How you doing? Story horse, says Matthew Shipley. I love the nice little horse icon there in the chat. The Shield of Ballycastle. Eddie Durkin, you legend, was the crack. Fucking Hun Ballycastle. Is that Ballycastle in Mayo, was it? Johnny's tidying up the village, putting up walls around town and stuff, says Sean. You got that one right, buddy boy. Johnny Sideways. I remember years ago when Tala, they painted the curbs green, white, and orange. A lad fucking Tala, boy. Did the Cormination come and lend a hand? What about fucking Phil Penny? Melody Pugh, how you doing? Good Saturday morning to you. And the date is the 22nd of the 10th, 2022. Joshua Davies, good to see you too, brother, man. Good on you, the fucking Ballycastle boys. KG Fields. I remember going down there once with a lad called Job O'Brien in 97. And we went walking for miles along the rocks barefooted, which wasn't the fucking brightest idea we had. And by God, we slept that night by, sunburnt, and the fucking soles of our feet. They were red raw, like that lad in that film with Patrick Swayze in India, City of Joy, where there was a lad, rickshaw, an Indian lad. He was running around barefooted, fucking giving lads lifts so he could pay for the young buck. Bit of an education job. Johnny Sideways, as usual. I love the accent. Good lad, Johnny, mate. Oh, aye. Who are you? All right there. Oh, aye. How are you getting on, lad? Suka Lamink. Hey, horse. You ever do any flaking for a reason? You know what I'm saying. You ever do any flaking for a reason? You know what I'm saying. So I'll leave that up to the audience members' mind's eye. Liam K. Mayo on cabbage is grand, lad. Oh, Graham Russell. Well, it isn't the Clim himself. All right there, Graham Russell. How you doing, lad? Piss Milk 001. Even from Belfast. Johnny Sideways. I mean my impersonation. Thanks very much. Your Tala, shady Ganley accent. I'm walking down the stairs, I'm walking here now, up the fucking mountains, man. No, I'm really walking. Shield of Ballycastle says, I turned 31 last Saturday and got COVID, but out of it since Thursday. Good lad. Now go forth. Just drink pints and have the crack. Sukalamink, sorry, badly phrased. Any fight stories? Oh, fuck, there's been a couple. There was often, I was never one to go looking for trouble. As Uncle Mick told me in real life, now, if you want to go looking for trouble, you'll find trouble, and trouble will always be around the corner for a man who wants to find it. But I myself now, I would never take any shite off anybody, and the great Maloney now, mm, he would go duking if it had to be done. I never wanted to go. You know, the old credo: do no harm, take no shit. And I think if people just kind of respect those boundaries, that would be sound, and they wouldn't end up in Dub's Life Twitter videos the whole time. Adam Maloney, speaking of fighting men, what do you think of Tyson Fury? I think he's sound, man. He's I love there's a video on my channel, Stateside Part 2, where Stateside goes, what do I think of Tyson Fury? I love Tyson Fury. He's very, very tall, and he's very strong with the left, but also very strong with the right. He is my hero, said Stateside. Well, please, won't you come on the rows with me, on the boat with me? It'll be the last thing you ever did. See, I've this week for some reason I've been mixing up song lyrics. Maybe it's just I'm getting old or I'm tired. But I'd be singing songs at work and fucking botching up handy lyrics. So maybe the mind is taking a bit of a punishment. I'm going on the old sober November now, so hold me to it. Hold me to it. And you maybe like, oh, what are you doing, man? Going fucking sober November. That's fucking soft talk. But I was thinking, yeah, no harm, man. No harm. Just get back into the gym and try and work on a six-pack by Christmas, as Mark from Peep Show would say. Owl Eugene is right, Suka. Sheila Bellycastle. Cowboy was in the Guinness Guru channel a couple of times. I'll tell you one thing, those boys can fairly fucking drink Guinness. And maybe an old fucking sober November might do them well. Give the liver a break. Melody Pugh. Old boy. Are your true accents Irish and Mancunian? No, it's well, I mean, I suppose at this stage it was always like Merseyside. And when I was a kid, I used to sound like that because I was like, you know, wanted to sound like I was from fucking Toxteth, so I was dead hard. But yeah, my English teacher at the time was like, "Are you trying to sound like you're from Liverpool? You don't have a Liverpool accent. Stop pretending you do. You're from Wallasey." I was like, "Yeah, but it's across the Mersey, and as the crow flies, it's only 2.5 miles." Shawneen, use lot go on the drive for the month. I'ma smoke 3 times to make up for the slacking. Well, you know what? Thank you for picking up the slack there, Sean, and I do appreciate that. Bumishment, says Graham Russell. Melody, oh yes, I remember now. Linguist. Yeah, I remember Miss Corcoran. There was one time where she asked me to bring it. Did I do my homework? And I was like, no, I didn't. She was like, why didn't you do your homework? Why? She was giving me a bollocking. And then I went like this. I'm only joking. I did do my homework. She was like, why did you do that? You made me shout at you. It's not funny. Why did you do that? And I was like, God, I won't be doing that again. I thought it would be one of them where it'd be funny to take a bit of a bollocking and then go, I got you there. But she didn't see the funny side of it, unfortunately. Suka Lamink says, any hope of you going into acting again, like getting asked in the Vikings? Well, yeah, there is. I suppose, like, my agent I haven't fucking spoken to him for about a year, and my English agents as well now going on there, and I haven't been ringing and asking. I just fucking can't be asked traveling at the moment, to be honest with you. I'm kind of happy enough where I am in obscurity. Dags Maloney, I'm tripping balls, son. What's the fucking touch? Chats, mushies, acid, or just really strong hydro from the States? You are just like my daughter. Or was it what is in the messing about crack? Have you had any trouble traveling due to vax requirements? No, I haven't. But I doubt I'd be getting into the States, though. And for the record, no, I haven't had any one of the vaccines. If you have, I'm not going to judge you. Please don't judge me. That was my own decision. You know, when as Mark Twain would say, if you find yourself on the side of the majority, then maybe it's time to step back and reflect. And I'm a great man for doing a lot of reflection. It's like living in a fucking crystal maze job full of mirrors, man. And also in recent lieu of that Dutch lad, yeah, MEP Rouge, who asked the questions there at the European Parliament, asking about the transmissibility and Pfizer. And she said, no, of course not. We were going at the speed of science. I don't know what speed that can be quantified at, but all of this kind of crack of making people feel guilty about not having an experimental medical procedure, yeah, it just goes to show if you fucking stick by your guns, which I was gonna fucking do so. I just thought it got very, very fucking nasty when it was like, you have to sit out here with the shit munchers if you want to go out to a restaurant, putting people out in the middle of winter, man. And everyone ended up getting it anyway. So big fucking waste of time. And we'll put that subject in the box. But yes, that is. I said it when Stevie and Chris Gavigan were over 2 years ago on the channel, nearly 2 years ago. Are you getting it? I said no then, and I said it now. I got the Omicron, fucking done and dusted. I've had worse hangovers, to be honest with you. And let's face it, it all came out of a fucking lab in Wuhan, and nobody seems to care why or who let it slip or who benefited. But yeah, it's funny. Like anytime anybody, like the supposed leaders come out and tell someone to do something, and it will have a certain effect, and someone else then says something different, they're ridiculed and mocked. And then when they have irrefutable proof of them saying that in the beginning when they were wrong, they're like, no, that's not what we meant to say. And yeah, fuck them. You see, the thing is, I've come to the realization that if you've got any kind of street smarts at all, and you've been hanging out with people who, or you've interacted with people who are out to kind of like do you kind of come wise to those kind of things. It's like a sixth sense. People say, I trust the science. Well, I trust my instincts, and my instincts have got me this far, and I'll continue doing it. Let me see, what have we got in the comment section? Another Lizzie in a box. Na, hey, hey. Yeah, Liz Truss is gone, the shortest prime minister ever. She was a fucking up for a bit of war, so she was. Loved a bit of war, and now she's gone. The poor cat is wondering where he's going to go. He's only getting used to 10 Downing Street. If Boris Johnson goes back in there, man, that's going to be a complete piss take. Like, the guy is a fucking pillock, to use vernacular from that neck of the woods. Let me see. Mushrooms, wicked powerful this year. Oh, Dags Bay. Fucking nice to get them. It must have been nice to get some. Once again, another year has passed without the harvest coming this man's way. What do you think of all this James Corden business, sir? What business is that? I'd like to know. James Corden, as you know, as one of the most slappable faces in show business, he's the kind of man who, I don't know him personally, but when I saw him dancing around like a fucking fool with Luciferian extraordinaire slapper Ariana Grande, I was just like, man, whatever feelings I had about James Corden have been thoroughly confirmed, and he is indeed a massive twat. And there may be one day in the future where I might well have some sort of resurgence in TV. I doubt it, especially on that level with the shit that I've been coming out with. But yeah, there could be a time where maybe we meet in the same circles and he's like, you called me a twat. And I'm like, well, yeah. Come on, man. Have you seen yourself? Kevin Ball, how you doing, baby boy? Good to see you. No autographs. Will you shut up? There's a man trying to sleep here. ID. Well, Martin, what do you make of all this Gaia crack, aliens and the like? Gaia, is that kind of channel that people are trying to push on people, going talking about like the tetrahedron and all this kind of. As I said many times, I saw something really fucking mental on the way back from England to Sweden. A big ball of light following a plane, and there was two other men who'd seen it with me. Thankfully, they'd seen me, because I probably would have started like questioning it. Or, I would have seen it, but then, the skeptic within me would have. So anything's possible. Whatever the fuck that was not anything of technology, of conventional technology, and it was so bloody simple in its appearance, being like a ball of like golden light doing a right angle turn and then blasting off in front of the plane. I was like, there is nothing to my knowledge that looks or behaves like that. And even my mate Andy Wallace said, "Oh yeah, that actually what you said actually." Um, what is it? It was confirmed by Bob Lazar on a Joe Rogan podcast. Apparently, I didn't listen to it myself. Melody says, absolutely bollocks. I saw shit by Gaia. Shit. Yeah, it was one of them. It was like, if it's not up there for free, I'm not fucking subscribing to it. But I don't know. I wouldn't rule anything out, whether there's multiverses or, I mean, we don't know. And as David Icke would say, we can only see what's visible in the ultraviolet light band of the spectrum of ultraviolet light. I was always into this kind of stuff since I was a kid. I used to get these books, X Factor, before Simon Cowell started cashing in on warbling wannabes. But and there was all sorts of stuff: Chew Caprica, Skinwalker Ranch, and then it kind of got a bit boring. And they ran out of steam. There was Loch Ness Monster and all and UFOs and Roswell, all that kind of juicy stuff. Then later on, it kind of got they were running out of steam, and it was like, oh, the use of the development of non-lethal weapons and that kind of stuff. But it's still at my mom's place in Ireland. I wouldn't mind getting that again. It's kind of like, I used to enjoy this thing called the 14 TV with a guy called Reverend Lionel Stanthorpe. Had stuff like spontaneous combustion as well, which was a bit mad. There was always those black and white pictures of like people who just fucking burst into flames, and then when they took a bit of a deep dive into it, it was that maybe it was some sort of misfired electronic signals that started some sort of weird combustion chain reaction inside the body. Who knows? But it happened to the drummer in Spinal Tap, and that was a rockumentary. Give the old thumbs up there. It's very anemic on the thumbs up, ladies and gentlemen. It would be nice if we could get that up to a good 20. It makes absolutely no difference because I've given up on monetizing the channel, because I'd rather you listen to this uninterrupted instead of having to look at shite adverts the whole time. So God only knows, if you're in America, the adverts, it's like, get that Wendy's, check in the box, Pfizer, brought to you by Pfizer. Or if it's Ireland, it'll be something like, having more milk. And Sweden is even more fucking annoying. Let's see your comments. What's going on in the comment section? The comments. I saw those lights at 14, but don't follow Gaia. So is it, when you say Gaia, you want about Gaia the channel, or is it Gaia as in what's known as Mother Earth? But those lights, man, they are pretty fucking crazy. Are you doing a bit of late night video? And says Jade Elwes. I am indeed, love. I am indeed. How are you, Jade? Hey, how are you, Jade? Dags, you are a true Gandalf Maguire, seeing me through my trip on the carpet tonight. Thank you. Dags, enjoy the trip, man. I once took Colombian mushrooms back in 2005 when they were legal in Ireland with a lad called Dookie Muldowney and Eddie Moore. And I was well up for going out because Owen was going to bed on a Sunday night. He had work the next day. But then I was kind of, when it started kicking in, I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to go out, man. And so I just ended up lying on a very cold green leather couch watching a film called About Adam featuring Stuart Townsend. And actually, Charlotte Bradley, who played Noreen's mother in Hardy Books. And who was the other one? Fuck it. Anyway, and I was just like, why is this twat getting so many women in this film, man? He's a dickhead. And then I was looking at my hands and they were all purple and bubbling. I was like, shit, man, these mushies have really kicked in. And yeah, probably ended up having some sort of fucking wank about my ex-girlfriend at the time. Who knows? But that was back in the day, man, 2005. Good days. That was a bit of a up and down summer, that was. Let me see. Melody Pugh literally just watched the new Unsolved Mysteries. Oh yeah, that's on YouTube, is it? YouTube is I don't bother with TV anymore. And I think the fact that, sometimes I go into like YouTube and it's like, where's all the light-hearted stuff? A lot of the stuff that I consume is all fucking geopolitical stuff. And, We Are Change, fucking Redacted, Jimmy Dore, people like that, and I think if I could probably do well if I was to cut these streams into little bite-sized chunks that people could watch, but I just don't have the fucking knowledge. Well, I probably could if I did it, and it would be a little bit more accessible because they do the live stream, then they cut the live stream, and then they take the best bits out. Could be something of. I mean, it'd be nice if I had a couple of people who would be willing to help me get the channel going in terms of a more professional look, but then I would have to also invest in a better camera. So I'm hoping to have like an office space slash broadcasting soon, but there's just a lot of stuff that needs to be moved around first. Let me see. Enjoy the trip, Dags. Keep on rolling, baby. You know what time it is. Throw your hands up. As frontman of Limp Bizkit, Freddie Durst would also say. I don't know why his quotes always ring true, but sometimes, it's funny. I was listening to music from about 20 years ago, and it seems to hold. Thank you very much for the seed money, Sean. Always appreciated, mate. You never turn up empty-handed. I swear to God, man, when I come to Chirac, there'll be fucking pints of special in it for you, lad. And we'll go fucking chasing Kind Bud Lavin down fucking Baggy Lane. Has any okay? There's a great one for you. Paj Mahash says, has anyone ever watched that movie Shrooms? Very funny story about that. So in the webisodes of the Hardy Books, it was near Halloween time, and we picked shrooms, and then we went to Galway the following Saturday night, and we took mushies at Kofi's house. That was one of the funniest nights of my life. And then went to the Roisin Dove a week after Halloween. And we tripped balls, and everything looked like it was green and orange. And I thought that the place was still decorated in Halloween colors when it wasn't. And I was talking to this Spanish goth girl, and I was like, wow, what have you come dressed as tonight? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, what have you dressed up as? She was like, I'm just dressed as myself. And I'm like, well, you dress like this. And she didn't see the funny side of it. But Owen Colgan was in the smoking area of Roisin Dove, and Shrooms, the film, had just come out. And apparently Owen said to some lad, oh yeah, there's a new film out, man, called Mushies. The lad was like, it's not Mushies. It's called Shrooms. All right. But then a few weeks later, we ended up watching Shrooms at Cineworld with two good old friends of ours, Danny Riley and Sean McMillan. So what we did is we brought like an 8-pack of Bavaria into the cinema to watch it. And it was shite, man. It was a really shit film. And Pete Cassidy gets up in the middle of this packed theater, and he goes, this film he gets up and he goes, this film would give Mushies a bad name, and I'm a fan of them, as you well know. And the whole fucking theater started clapping for him. Oh, good chimes. Bruin View, says Shawnee. No, Melody Pugh, the guy of the channel, says Matthew Coyle. Do you have to subscribe to it? Mike Keane, Hardy Book series soon. Who knows, mate? Hopefully, someone in RTE is a big fan of the show. I think the only hope we have of getting back in is if younger people who are fans of the show want to work with us, because I think otherwise I don't know. Who knows? I mean, most of the big things that have happened to me in life are usually by default, and usually I don't really get much saying that. I mean, to be quite honest with you, when it comes to acting and TV, I've got kids, man. I remember Chris O'Dowd saying to me in Hollywood back in 2011. He said, "I said, I'm gonna have kids, man." He's like, "Oh, big mistake, man." I was like, "No, serious. If you're getting into acting, big mistake." Like, and I was like, I was a bit miffed at the time, because I was like, "Yeah, well, it's my unborn child." Like, and I thought you'd have some like, "Oh, congratulations" kind of vibe, which you did as well. But yeah, when you have kids, like you just, even though you try to be a working actor, it's just not fucking compatible. And then, at the end of the day, when you have kids, you've got like the acting career and all the razzmatazz and the showbiz and the fucking meeting all these celebrities. And then you've got kids, which are a pain in the arse, but you love them dearly and they love you back. And the love that you get from them is worth all of the sacrifice plus more that goes into being a parent. And so, as a sum of its part, I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking way happier away. I feel like, to be quite honest, I feel like because I've been away from it for so long, that I'm back to who I was before I was on TV. I was always really guarded about, anytime I do an interview, I'd always fuck it up, and then they'd misquote me. And whereas now, I just don't give a shit, man. And I quite like being in obscurity, to be quite honest with you. Jade L was talking about Adam the film featuring Stuart Townsend. Oh, Kate Hudson's accent in that was bollocks. She was looking well, though. She was looking well. Melody Pugh, I'm up for breaking some shit tonight. Good, good. Take the old smashing old chair and use the spindle leg and just fucking trash the stuff on the mantelpiece really dramatically, like Tommy Vassal would do in The Room. Speaking of shite films, I watched on Amazon tonight because it's the usual Lord of the Rings night with me and the daughter, and it was over, and I was like, what? I was like, there was no big finale to the end of series 1, and I was like, what was that? So yeah, there was that. So we watched 2021 War of the Worlds, featuring from Asylum Pictures, no less, featuring Tom Sizemore. And I recommend you watch this film because it's probably one of the worst films I've ever seen. And believe you me, I've seen some shit films, but like, Tom Sizemore, man, he was in Saving Private Ryan, Black Hawk Down, Natural Born Killers. I think it might have even been True Romance. He was in like some massive movies, and then to see him, like, and he looks like he's just fucking sweating, and he's probably like, "Where's the blow? Get through this fucking scene so I can do some blow." Shitest film ever, The Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, says Sean. Wasn't George Clooney in that as well? Yeah, you mean some of those like bad B movies that some of these huge actors. I think Leonardo DiCaprio was in Leprechaun, and funny enough, Leprechaun. I've seen Cheap Heat Productions had the lad from Leprechaun in it, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Leprechaun. Fucking, as the Americans would say, you're only an old fucking leprechaun, man. Hit the thumbs up there. I've lost a few viewers. Fair play. Come back later on. Joseph Reichenbach, how are you doing, lad? Let me see. Let me see. It seems a lot less important than your kid shows you his drawing. Exactly. Maybe an American version of Hardy, like The Office. We did go over. Well, I went over to LA to talk to a guy from Shine Media that do the American Office, and I met the writers of the American Office in a place called Ivan House, and yeah, they were talking about it. But I think they wanted they wanted to see about putting it into syndication and doing an American version, and I think it would very well translate. I've watched Bros of Simi Valley, and I think it's fair to say that they'd seen us and emulated it and did a bigger version. One second, I've just got to let the cats in. Hold on. Cat, man. The other ginger hunk has arrived. Come here. How are you doing? Come on. Come on. Come here, lad. Come. Miss me. Oh, a bit. Oh, come here to me, a big. The fucking size of the marmalade, man. There he is, boy. Oh, he's been let out now, causing damage. Oh, he's a fucking beast. What's your sign? What are you about, man? Fucking shoulders on him. He's like a Grecian wrestler. I've heard stories around the town about him and everything, man. Let me see. Dude, 2112. Is Halloween celebrated much over there? Any plans? I'm seeing The Thing by John Carpenter in the cinema in Belfast. That'll be fucking great crack, man. That's an amazing film. That sounds like a great way of spending Halloween. I remember that was on TV when I was about 12 on Sky. It was like part of a Halloween night. But yeah, great film. Kurt Russell looks well young. He's got a class beard, man. Paj Mahaj, Batman and Robin is pretty shit as well. Oh yeah, the film with that's not the one with Jim Carrey. That's the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. Yes, you're a good dude. Bet you're full of ticks though. Oh yeah. So yeah, the reason I was also late to the stream because I changed all the sheets in the house today, man. Oh, Cat Sizemore. Are you fucking mad bastard, you? He was fucking rubbing against the light. Check out the light on that, man. Oh, selfie ring. Look at that, man. It's a fucking UFO job. Come here. You want to go to space, do you? Oh, close encounters of the third kind. Will probe your arse. Stateside style. One of Freya's kitties. Oh yes, indeed. Quite the ginger tomcat. He really is. He's got enough cheek for another horse. The Thing is fucking brilliant. What are the John Carpenter movies? Okay, so yeah, They Live, which is basically a fucking great film as well. You know, They Live is not a film; it's a documentary. But it has the same message: consume, obey, you know, that kind of thing. Simi Valley, great rock formations. Simba Mon, says Paj Mahaj. Yeah, but Bros of Simi Valley is very funny. I do enjoy it. The Ring is in the Japanese film, then turned into the 2000. I remember seeing that in a place called the Fun Pub in EOS, where it was pretty cool, man. They had a pool table there, and you could just watch movies and eat food, and it was like it's a nice way to just knock about in the afternoon and just watch the latest pirated movie. Do you follow Ryan Dawson? I did. I followed, but you know, there's a lot of these lads who were kicked off YouTube, so I haven't really heard much of him. He's probably on Rumble or Odyssey, but too lazy to go over there. But I seen he was on the Eddie Bravo podcast recently. I'd like to get Eddie Bravo on here, but he hasn't been getting back to my text messages. I don't know why that is. Don't know why. And we see Maloney. Thanks for being a huge fan. Thanks, been a huge fan for years, and you're getting me through this trip. It was scary at times, but fun. I look, Dags, it'll be sound. It'll wear off, and then are you by yourself? Yeah, we should just fucking have a listen to this, man, and you know, hang out with the people in the chat. You'll be fucking, as Chris Gavigan would say, you'll be fucking sound, and that's usually anyone who has any worries in life. I always say to them, what would Gavigan say? Sure, you'll be fucking sound. That's what he says, and usually it is. And if you want to go one step further, the Mark Twain quote again: I've known many troubles in my life, and 75% of them haven't come true. So that's also true. And the one thing about being on Mushies is to remember it is a temporal trip and enjoy the ride. It's like going to Alton Towers and being on a roller coaster and being like, woo! And yeah, you'll be sound, man. You'll be fucking sound, as Gavigan would say. Did you see what happened to Alex Jones? Yeah, a ridiculous amount of money to pay. I mean, like, who the hell has 1 billion? And what about the, you know, you're like, you can agree or disagree with him, right? But at the end of the day, it's his First Amendment right to be able to speak like that. I don't think I don't think he was. I mean, I haven't. I'm not aware of it, but I don't think he was saying anything mean about the kids or the victims. You know, I think what he was talking about was one of the parents, how his behavior was when he went on. You know, look, I don't know about this. I have no opinion about it, but I think 1 billion is insane. Like, where the fuck is Alex Jones supposed to get 1 billion from selling boner pills and brain force? You know, brain force been tested by scientists. Deleting makes your brain. It's like that film with Bradley Cooper, Limitless. If you keep taking these brain force, you'll end up like me. 45 days later, looking the same. Super male vitality. Yeah, so I think that's a bit ridiculous. There was something else that was, oh yeah, the Van Gogh thing. Sean said there's an awful lot of these fucking dickheads, man, going around like Extinction Rebellion and stop the oil, and they're all wearing products or using things that are made with oil. I don't think there's anything at the moment other than nuclear power, which of course has its drawbacks because of the waste and the risk of it of nuclear fallout. But there probably is other technology that is being suppressed by big energy companies because it's like the Model T Ford by Henry Ford could be run on ethanol, and that's actually why they had the prohibition on alcohol, not because of the morality behind people drinking alcohol. It was because it undermined Rockefeller's bottom line. If you could make your own ethanol out of you know biodegradable substance that's found everywhere, that's self-sufficient. The Rockefellers, they're a bad, shady bunch of cunts that have been operating for over a century. Fucking white Anglo-Saxon Protestant bastards. Oh man, you're a really good guy, James. You know that, man. Here he is again. I'll just lower this a bit so you can see him. Look at that. What a good lad. He's a very friendly cat. So apparently, the ginger male cat is supposed to be the most mellow of all the cats. And I have to say, I've never encountered a cranky one yet. You're a good lad, aren't you? Yeah. He's a good, handsome creature. He comes up when I'm in the bed, curls up beside us. But I have to get Uncle Quarto over, and that'll be good crack when the fun starts. But he seems happy enough at the ex's place for now. Tail up means happy. All right. Well, the tail is right up. Is that right, Jamesine? The size of his mittens. Oh ho ho, some fine mitts. So he's half Persian, half Norwegian forest cat, and he's all beast. He's a good beast. I think he might have a tick there. Does he? Is that a tick? No, it's not. Good lad. I had to pull the ticks off him. Ticks are nasty little bastards. If you kin mittens, I was thinking the same thing, but I said it, Sean. I bring him in as well so he can chill. Um, Jack lad, how you doing, mate? How you doing? What happened to Gavigan? Dead Hedgehogs podcast disappeared. I don't know. I think it just became a bit too much. Gavigan was working too much and whatnot. Shawneen says George Floyd's kin are now suing Kanye over his remarks. Again, 250 million for an opinion. It's fucking nonsense. I'll tell you who the real winners are there. Whoever tries to sue him. I think this whole okay, well, let me see. Oh yeah. Okay, there's a couple of ones I missed here. Alex, I owe 4 billion Jones. Says Sean, Melody Pugh, are you an art fan, old boy? If so, what's your love of art? Um, I would like I do like Van Gogh because he's he was by all intents and purposes a tormented artist who wasn't recognized in his time, and a lot of the best artists and innovative minds straddle. They're so out there that they straddle that fine line between, as I say, genius and a madman. You're a genius if it works out, but you're a madman if you fuck up. That's the only difference. Well, obviously, I mean, like look at Nikolai Tesla, one of the greatest men that ever lived in terms of inventors and thinkers, and died in obscurity and poverty. But again, his work was seized by bad bastards. Um, Let me see. It's not just the money with Alex; it's a terrible precedent. Well, you see, Alex Jones was the first one to be deplatformed off all the major Silicon Valley tech outlets: Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. It was at the end of the day. As much as you may agree or disagree with somebody, you have to give people the right to be able to say this. And You know, when you can't have the thing is with modern day and age we're living in now, you can't have conversations about certain subjects without being absolutely fucking decimated, and that is a indication of maybe people are waking up to the systems that are in place, and they're trying to keep a lid on it. But I think I mean, I've heard many people, referring to Jones as being controlled opposition as well, but I don't know. Like, I mean, Alex Jones, is like, sometimes he has interesting things that he talks about, but at the end of the day, I think it's a bit ridiculous that he's being sued for such an amount of money. At the end of the day, the First Amendment in America is what is supposed to be. It's supposed to be the right. People can say things repugnant and offensive, but like that is, it's the freedom of speech. Now, people nowadays can't handle, like in the 80s and the 90s, 2000s, when people would say stuff that you would disagree with, you'd be like, guys are fucking bellend, and that was your right to reply and call someone else up to disagree. And the an open discourse is how things are usually, bad ideas are edged out, and maybe some good ideas come from what happens in the middle ground. But to be threatening people with huge liable sums of money or incarceration or whatever comes along with it is fucking ridiculous. I think it is a bad precedent. Starry night, says Melody Pugh. Charles Moore and any cans, lads. Oh, you get more ticks over there, asks Melody. Yeah, this it's a bad old spot for ticks and Borrelia and that kind of thing. Unang Tao, hello from a fellow ginger cat owner. Mine is all street cat. Lovely touch. Yeah, they're nice. They're cozy old bastards. Cuddly lads. In the heat of the day or the night, you decide. Let me see. Neo, no autographs. Same here. I'm still stubborn and smoke anyway. So what's that about? I wish I could smoke weed. Still says no autographs, but it makes me paranoid now. I think there's a time and a place for it, and I think if I think if everything is going well for you in life, and you've got that headspace to try out those things, that helps. I think it also depends on the legality of it, because if you're in a place where it's like if you're in Amsterdam and you can just sit down and chill without worrying about being arrested and charged for possession, then it's more of a chilled out vibe. But yeah, Nikolai Tesla was brain raped. How do you mean, Sean? How do you mean? States, I would say. Let me see. Ungang Tao says, I think the asking price of 250 on Kanye is too much, but he needs to chill with all these wild statements. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like at the end of the day, imagine being that famous where every time you come into LAX, you're just constantly mobbed by paparazzi. I mean, living in the spotlight like that. And imagine, like, it's very difficult to know who's genuinely on your side or who's in it for the money, who's in it for what they can get out of you. And when you live in an environment like that, people will schmooze you and kiss your ass and try and it's when you encounter hardship, and it's really cliche to say, but it's times that you find out who the genuine people are. Let's see. Neo, haha, I just finished a J, but I ain't the same as used to be. No idea why. Get that tight chest sometimes. You need to go for a good brisk run and then open up those air sacs. Jack Lad, did you hear that Kanye West was giving out to the lads? You can't give out in public or you'll be done as an anti-Semite. Yeah, I mean, what can you do? The dude 2112. Fair play to Jones. He just back to business, but I guess he has to be in order to pay the dosh. Now, where the fuck are you going to get $1 billion from, man? Do you know what I mean? That's I mean that I'd say that's probably going to be contested and brought to another court, and there'll be some sort of smaller settlement. But like $1 billion, like I mean, if he doesn't pay those, like I mean, if he just declares himself bankrupt, he's like, so I don't have that kind of money, and he might have put everything into, he might have liquidated his personal assets and put them into the holdings of other people as well. And then he was like, I'm a man of straw, you can't get blood out of a stone. Jihadists are pouring in over the border. They're taking the Alamo. Bajmaj, everything is played too safe nowadays. Well, you see, that's because of social media. Like, you can get, like, let's say you can get 500 hardcore fucking, aggrieved folk for whatever the cause of aggravation be. And they can then create a storm in a teacup. And whoever is in charge of the... Oh no. Okay, I'll give another 10 minutes and I'll wrap it up. Whoever is in charge of talent or the offending party, they shit the bed because everything is all about the brand. And yeah, it's just... I think basically there's going to be so many people cancelled that they're going to then... I mean, I think basically the likes of Odyssey and Rumble cropping up. I don't really spend much time over there, but what's going to happen? So many people are going to be cancelled. So many people are going to get sick of having to pander to people who have diametrically opposed sets of values, that they're just going to throw caution to the wind. And the number of, like, if the I mean, there seems to be before our eyes the biggest kind of societal division that has happened for decades, where basically you have, I look at this guy on Twitter called Brooklyn Dad Defiant, and he's basically a paid shill for the the DNC Political Action Committee. And this other... I've never muted anybody on Twitter, but there was a woman called Joe, I think her name was, and she's like just a fucking like the Democrat Party. I mean, I'm not like, say what we want about Trump, but the fucking state of things nowadays, it's like it's remarkably bad in the States, and the foreign policy that the states have, and Biden isn't in control. It's the people around him who are controlling the White House and the foreign policy. And the fact that Nord Stream, that the sabotaging of that, apparently there was 50 meters of that pipeline completely destroyed. Sweden knows who did it, but they can't say it, which in itself is like an admission of, well, we know who did it, and it's not in there. They're like, oh, we know who did it, but we don't want to say. Please don't fuck us up. So yeah, these maniacs are bringing us closer to a foe. I mean, I kind of feel like the likes of, let's say, Bill Gates and all, these assholes who are at the forefront of the World Economic Forum technocracy. It's like they're so far removed from the everyday average citizen of whether it be in the West or the East or like third world countries, that they just they look at us like we're fucking insects, that we're expendable. And you have Bill Gates recently going, well, I think it's a good thing that in the long run, he says, that the grimace he does, well, if the first pandemic doesn't get their attention, the next one will. We're taking essentially genetically modified organisms and shooting them right into little kids' arms. And he's like, when everyone else, right, this is good in the long run, this whole conflict. And Yeah, good, because people according to him, will be moving away from fossil fuels and moving towards greener technology that he himself is heavily invested in. And when everyone else is starving and freezing, and they can't use the central heating because they can't afford it, he'll be on his mega yacht out in some fucking island, tropical island paradise with plenty, while Europe and the States are completely fucking getting obliterated. Apparently now there's avian flu that's just ravaging through chickens and turkeys across the world. That's going on at the moment. There's a drought in the Mississippi, which means that the nitrogen or the fertilizer necessary for agriculture isn't getting, or aluminium or steel isn't getting to the places where it should be. The fact that Russia was supplying most of the fertilizer to Europe and the energy. This is what happens when you become reliant on global trade, and any break in diplomacy between these massive power blocks has huge effects. And if you look at there's a guy called Peter Schiff who was on Jimmy Dore, and he was talking about how what we have, like, especially in the States, like the Federal Reserve, man, like that is a whole, like fucking Bernanke and Alan Greenspan and Janet Yellen. Like it was the creature from Jekyll Island, where they went down to Georgia just before the Christmas when everybody else was off for the holidays, and they signed the Federal Reserve into creation. I think it was 1913, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, they're all building fucking bunkers. There was actually something on I think Russell Brand was covering it, where he was saying, like, oh, the super rich are living in these bunkers and they can live there for many years. It'd be fucking funny if they did go into the bunkers and they thought it was all going to kick off, and then they were just stuck. But then I'm sure they probably have TV and whatnot in there. Neo, haha, good old Kermit is that like, well, Epstein, he died, so that's his fault. Let me see. Melinda Gates put us all at risk by divorcing Bill. If she was giving him rim jobs, he wouldn't have time for all the sociopathic kill plans. Just a fucking, like I remember, like, you'd read, like, he pays for puff pieces to be written about him in. Look at that lad. How we doing? He's a fucking good guy. He's a bloody strong lad. But he pays PR agencies to write positive things about him, and he's a psychopath. And like, I'd say he was just a bloody knob growing up who had no charisma. And rocking like this, nobody's listening to me. Let me sexually harass someone. He's a twat, man. He's a twat. Missy, there's a lot of pressure to place on Hummer. Yeah, Hummer's by Joshua Davis. I don't know. Sweden drew the short straw. Yeah, Sweden's kind of like in between two major. Basically, if it kicks off, I'm fucked. I mean, like, it's you can kind of feel that, especially here in. You can kind of feel that people are a little bit on edge. Like, they don't know what's going to happen. And maybe it's the same for the rest of Europe. Like, I was talking to someone the other day, and he said, Russia isn't going to stop. It's just going to keep, if it wages full scale war against Ukraine and whatnot, it's not going to stop, and it's going to keep going past Poland. And I doubt it, but I doubted that they would go ahead with the invasion. But it kind of felt like America was really fucking pushing and pushing and pushing, and basically they're pumping money into Ukraine, and it's a proxy war. But then people are like, oh, Russia, the invaders. I'm not on anyone's fucking side here, man. The only side I'm on is the side of peace. I want to see an end to this conflict. Like the longer it goes on, the more difficult it is to reconcile the loss that's going on between the two. But it's not good, and it's like quite weird when you think about that withdrawal from Afghanistan. That and a lot of people talk, there's a lot of people online talking about the Tepe pipeline. So maybe what they did is they just brokered a deal with the Taliban. They're like, look, we'll give you a fucking shitload of weapons. Do as you like. And it was like covered as if to say, oh, it was a withdrawal, but it was probably a fucking tactical. Here, look, here's a parting gift. That bygones, big bygones. See you later, lads. And just don't blow up that pipeline. Because what is it? Is it the Tepa pipeline? Let's see. Let me see. Tapi pipeline. So it's Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India pipeline. And that goes from, where does it go? So it goes from Turkmenistan at the Galkanish gas field through Afghanistan, through Kandahar, Quetta in Pakistan to Multan, and it goes right into Fazika in India. So, there is that. But who knows? Who knows? But it's basically, I mean, at the end of the day, right? All these things, these geopolitical things, it's business. It's basically big business with big consequences, and and the other mad thing is like, this is what I meant to say about the Stop Oil people, like that guy who was spraying paint all over an Aston Martin garage and whatnot, and these lads who are blocking traffic, and nothing seems to be going on. It's like, it's almost like that's an acceptable form of protest, and I think, I saw a scientist in Germany who glued his hands to the floor of a Porsche showroom garage, and he was saying, oh, now I have life-threatening blood clots forming in my hand. What did they expect when they went in there? Like, I mean, they went in there with glued their hands to the floor, and then they probably had to shit and piss themselves. I was like, this is going to be like a more common thing. Unfortunately, yes, there's a lot of pollution and carbon monoxide released from combustion engines, and it would be nice if we could find some other form of clean energy that had the same level of efficiency. But I mean, like, there are a lot of this green technology is, and I've said this fucking loads of times, cobalt and lithium. These, it comes from, or coltan comes from rebel controlled areas that use child slave labor, and it's yeah, it would be great if energy is basically without energy you can't do anything. You can't maintain like the fact that the combustion engine came along, it saved, if you look at aviation, if you look at shipping, transport, it saved billions of hours in labor, and yes, maybe it did take away a lot of the work from people in agriculture, but then it created other forms of work that people could go into as well. This is the Arbusto energy pipeline, says Joshua Davis. No, it was the Tapi pipeline. Arbusto pipeline. I'll have to check that out and see what that is. Right, look at what Biden did with closing the fucking Keystone XL. Like at the end of the day, right? If you look at the 2030 predictions of the World Economic Forum, they predict that America won't be a sole power anymore. It will be one of a bloc, and it's almost it seems like they're trying to basically take down America as well, and America's turned into a fucking basket case of a place. Um, but there are certain principles in the founding of the states that seem to be pretty. It, in the beginning of the Constitution. Yeah, some people may argue about the Constitution, but as a sum of its parts, yeah, I mean, fair enough. But again, what do I know? I haven't even read the Constitution, but there's a couple of things in there that basically try to safeguard the people living there against enemies, domestic and foreign. And the pursuit of happiness, the freedom of speech, the right to bear arms, all this kind of stuff. The not what is it, the law against cruel and unusual punishment, the one that Homer Simpson accidentally licked off that time. Missy, if you buy a van now, it comes with a mandatory YouTube channel. Oh yeah, there's plenty of them. I've seen a couple on Instagram that have a school bus that's been converted into a very nice little gaff. It's pretty impressive. American Civil War fought dust, says Sean. Yeah, I think basically there's a real risk of a global civil war, and if you look at the roles, if you look at the Arab Spring, that time that was facilitated through social media, it was predominantly Facebook at the time, and I don't know. I feel like academia has failed. Oh, come on, man, lad, come on, good lad, off the computer. Haj, do you think the troubles up the north could kick off again? I really sincerely hope not, man, because the people living up there, they've been through enough, and like peace it should be the thing that humanity strives for, but unfortunately, some people find peace repugnant, and some people just love drama and conflict, and yeah, the cat's in the keyboard with the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man in the moon. Call the aliens, send in some Star Trek, please. What was it? The direct rule. You can't intervene. They'd have more of a point if they could be taken seriously, says Joshua Davis. Forgive the ginger lad, said Joshua again. He just wanted to say hello. He's a nice dude. England's difficulty is Ireland's opportunity, says Dude 2112. Cat loves the exercise. Nice little throwback there to the white cat from the original Hardy books. Actually, my sister ended up with that cat's son, funny enough. But there's a lot of crazy stuff. Look, at least it's not boring. Do you know what I mean? And that reminds me of a line that was in The Sopranos, which was Meadows Soprano, and I'm paraphrasing this. She said that life is basically boils down to suffering or boredom. So, and it's not. We're living in interesting times, as the old Chinese proverb would say. May you learn to see interesting times, or So it was basically one of those kind of backhanded kind of see you later. But we are indeed living in interesting times, and if you do look at for fuck's sake, a second. You going out here? Go on. Brewer and Shipley are after you. Yeah, so things aren't boring anyway, and that's for sure. But it seems England's right. It's properly going down the tubes at the moment. Not looking too good for the pound, and the American dollar is just propped up with in fucking money printing from the Federal Reserve, and every one of those dollars that's printed is printed at a cost. Dude, pussy whipped. You got that one right, Sean. Would you ever head back to Ireland? I'd love to, but my life is over here now. Like, do you know what I mean? And the price of flights it's very expensive. Yeah, I'd like to start getting back into doing live shows. I enjoy that. Um, but after the pandemic and all that kind of stuff, I kind of became a bit hesitant with flying. There's an awful lot of hassle, but then and then it was like leaving the kids as well. Every time I'd leave and I'd see their little faces waving out the window, and then having to say bye to my family in Ireland as well. It was tough. It was tough going. Um, it seems Ireland has never been a sovereign nation, says Paj Mahaj. I think that the last time Ireland was a sovereign nation was under Brian Boru. And that was when was that? I think it was over 1,000 years ago at this stage. Brian Boru. Yeah, 1040, 941 to 1014. So that was, yeah, over 1,000 years ago at this stage. That was the last time Ireland was fully unified. But Ireland is basically it's there are people in Ireland who are really like the EU can do no wrong, and then there are people who are like, no, we just want to be fucking sovereign and have full self determination. But with the numpties that are running the country, in like it just really feels like the worst people that the worst candidates for leading people always tend to be the fucking same people who get into politics. Fucking rolling blackouts, says Charles Moran. What does that mean? Rolling blackout? It's like the rolling in. It's like, oh, here we go. It's another rolling blackout. Um, like England has a fucking shitload of natural gas off the in the North Sea. I don't understand like what the fucking big deal is. Like they've enough to do them. And, like here in Sweden, they are made like Sweden provides Europe with a shitload of electricity that they sell at a profit, but then us people in Sweden have to then pay a higher price for that. So instead of basically sorting us out first, we have to pay more because it's going to Europe. I really don't get it, man. It all just seems a bit fucking because basically everyone just takes the word for it, like in what we're being told. I mean, it's like there must be an easier way round these problems. I mean, I know everything is really interwoven and markets play a huge part in it, but like everything is fucking subject to manipulation at the end of the day. And whenever you have human beings with power, you'll find greed and the wanton craving for exerting power over competitors, and everyone else just kind of gets stuck in the middle. And your kiddos are old enough to travel, just get permission from their ma. Yeah, but also it's like, I mean, the last time I went back, it was €1,000, and it's just like it's a fair bit of wedge when a man's got bills to pay, and and things aren't getting cheap here. Like things are getting more and more expensive. While Mark and the boys have their servers running, says Charles Moore, yeah, well, these data centers are fucking eating up electricity at a rate of knots. But you don't hear anything about. It's funny, like, and then you got the likes of Brewdog, which is basically, climate neutral, climate carbon neutral, and all this. It's like it's all fucking virtue signaling at the end of the day. It's just like you can just slap whatever you want on a label and act holier than thou. And never forget this: the man who earns a reputation for getting up at 6 can sleep until noon. Don't ever fucking forget that, man. Reputation, that's what it's all about. And that's in this world that we live in, your reputation is more important than who you actually are as an individual on a core level, and I was always the other way around. I was always like, didn't really give a shit about my reputation. Well, it's not like I didn't give a shit about the reputation, and it's something that as I get older, I was always just too honest, to be quite honest. Jack lad, would you have a fireplace in your house, lad? No, unfortunately. The next door neighbours do have a stove, but yeah, that'd be brilliant. Do 2112 bag of coal £18 in Derry was 6 last year. I'll tell you one thing, it's time to get out into the woods and get some seasoned logs, man. If you're living in a house, I do recommend getting a stove, a camine, and just burn whatever the fuck you can get your hands on. And if it's one that heats up the house, or like if it's connected to the central heating, if you got a combi range or something, they're brilliant, man, and they hold the heat for a very long time as well. Melody Pugh asks, so what's your next steps, Mr. Maloney? Have you current plan, or are you playing it by ear? Playing it by ear, because like again, what the all that pandemic bollocks taught me was you can make plans, which I did have, and then everything could be scuppered. So that was the kind of the feeling I went back to when went back to Ireland. Like people were a little bit more edgy, or a fair bit edgier than they were. It's almost like they're kind of expecting everything to be taken away from them in the blink of an eye. And it's taken away if you let it get taken away, and a lot of people did fall for the guilt tripping and the just 1 week to flatten the curve. And as soon as you comply, they take it off you. So never again. I found flights from Dublin to Stockholm for £55. Really? Who's that with? That's not a bad old fucking trip. That's all right, actually. I've got work, and I've the schedule. Like I'm playing 2 gigs next weekend away south of Sweden as well, and I've never been there before. But I'm wondering, like, I think I might have underpriced myself a bit, because after tax, literally after tax here in Sweden, half of it's gone on tax immediately, and then if I have to pay for my own transport, I'm not going to be coming out for 2 nights of playing music. It's not going to be much at all. I get your back on your side. Good on you, Melody. Appreciate that, love. Jack lad, if you give them an inch, they take a mile. Yeah, they do, and they did. They took the piss. They took the piss right out of our flutes. Book a job in LA so we can have beers. Yeah, that'd be nice, man. I haven't been to LA for 11 years now. I liked it when I was there. Santa Monica Beach, nice touch. And West Hollywood was good crack as well. The dude 2112 got a letter from the GP for applying for the annual flu and COVID vaccine. This shit is here for good, isn't it? Well, the CDC mandated it for kids. Basically, what it's very simple. You have corporate entities that are so rich and so powerful that they lobby and buy people off, and it's taking the devil's coin, really, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's people selling their souls. Fortunately, there are people who stand by their morals and convictions in spite of everything. Like, look at fucking Julian Assange. But he raped people in Sweden. Yeah, did he? Did he really? Because he took a Johnny off. And one of the witnesses, I think, retracted her claim. Again, people like the amount of state crimes that he revealed. God knows what they're doing to that poor fucker in Belmarsh. And I don't know what my train of thought was with that, but basically, like, he's someone who didn't sell out. And that's the thing, you can you can sell out, take the money, bend over, and take that withered finger up your ass, or you can decide not to, get cancelled, get blackballed, and look yourself in the mirror and be like, well, you're your own man or woman, and that integrity is priceless. Because at the end of the day, your conscience isn't bothered. My conscience is like, Watergate does not bother me. Does your conscience bother you? Tell the truth. Do I think it goes back to Satanism? The older I get, the more I do think, yeah, absolutely. I mean, basically, it does come down to a set of 3. If you look at it in terms of psychopathy, you have empaths, apaths, and sociopaths / psychopaths. But if you break it down to an essence in good versus evil, You have good, benevolent, apathetic, in the middle, or on the fence, misguided, and then you have straight up evil. So I think it's there. I definitely think there's unseen forces guiding. Like according to like let's say Christianity, or the let's say, yeah, Christianity. You know, you're given free will, and you're let. You know, um, God gives you that right to make your own mistakes or do the right thing, and and you can imagine, right? If, let's say, and people are like, oh, what are you talking about, God, man? I'm an atheist. Atheism's cool. Yeah, I'm a nihilist. This kind of thing. It's like, imagine if God, right? You look out, you go out of the house and you look up and he's just like looking down like this, and it'd be the same people who are part of like this, the fucking cancel culture zealots. They'd be like, look, God, a sacrifice. I've sacrificed my dog. And it's like that kind of the blind faith aspect of it, because you can't prove there is a God, you can't prove there's not. It's you got Dawkins and Hitchens and all these Stephen Fry, these intellectuals who are, or Sam Harris, that really love the idea of refuting the fact that there is no God. But then I mean, there's a lot of things like the golden ratio found in nature. I mean, and nothing comes from nothing. You can't just nothing is begotten from nothing. There has to be some sort of divine spark. And I've always it's something that I used to, as a kid, I'd be like, I'd ask myself these questions, and I'm like, well, if there's like, if there was nothing there, what does an absence of color look like? Would it be black? But black is also, I suppose, a color. Alan Watts, yeah, we spoke about that last week. But like, there has to be some sort of intelligent design going on, and sometimes maybe, or we just don't have the processing power to understand what it is. It might be like a dog trying to figure out how to work a PlayStation, or an iPhone. They understand that something is going on with it, but they don't understand why it's working or how it's working. And I think I'll just read a few of your comments. Missy says, nothing is more attractive than integrity. Yeah, I mean, integrity is, I think that is one of the things that should be, that is something that should be prioritized. And if more people had more more courage and integrity, and weren't afraid to call shit that needed to be called out, I think we'd be in a much better situation. But I think it's all by, I think this, I think a lot of these cancel mobs are being maybe funded or steered to be outraged over certain things, to stop people from raising important issues, and then most people just don't want to deal with the fuss. Most people don't like, if you're getting fucking mobbed by shitloads of random accounts on social media, it must feel like a very daunting task to deal with that. But that's the fuck. Dixon Sarda says, I know you, Martin, since God was a boy. Amen, Dixon boy. Missy, haha, whenever someone says nihilist, I always think of the carpet pisses from Big Lebowski. Yeah, if you want some money, you have on you now, Lebowski. My girlfriend's girlfriend cut off her toe. Black is the summation of all color, says Missy. Dixon Sider, remember a while ago you said you were writing new episodes of the Hardy books. Any crack with it? Yeah, I need to get back into it, man. It's just getting I kind of feel I've been trying to write this last episode of the Hardy book for a while, and just need to sit down and do it. But and Missy says art school snobbery at its finest. Well, look, we're up to nearly an hour and 20 minutes, and it's been a pleasure. I was only supposed to do half this time, but as usual, the conversation is always thrilling and good crack. So thank you all for sticking around, and if you're watching this later on, cheers for watching. And One second. I'll just take this last one. Do 2112. Am I a mug for going to film school? Should I finish this degree and head into a trade? Head is mangled and taking shit as it comes. If I were you, I would finish the course because knowledge weighs nothing, and get a backup trade as well, just in case. Because I tell you one thing: unless you're working behind the camera and doing something like a rigger or lighting or sound, something that is actually a trade within it. If you're in front of the camera or you're trying to write and do that kind of thing, it's very competitive. And again, it's the politics inside the world of show business. You can be, again, blackballed without even realizing what you've done, and then you might end up on one of those fucking Watch Mojo. Oh, 10 actors whose career were ruined because of this bullshit. But anyway, thanks very much for sticking around, everybody. And yeah, I'll talk to you again next Friday. Oh wait, I'm doing a gig next Friday, but I might see if I can do a live stream at that sometime over that night anyway, let you know how the crack is. But have a lovely weekend, everybody. Look after yourself, and don't stop asking questions, and be half skeptical and half open-minded. Discernment when looking at the navigating your way through the world. But thanks for listening to me. At the end of the day, what the fuck do I know? But you're all sound. And God bless you. Talk to you soon.